Hola y un saludo a todos los estudiantes que están en la clase de Español 111. Soy el profesor Antón García Fernández. As you are no doubt aware, in-person classes have been canceled at the university for the remainder of the semester. Therefore, this video is part of the contingency plan to turn in-person classes into online classes. And in this video, we're going to be talking today about the stem changing verbs that you can find on pages 114 and 115 of the book. Páginas 114 y 115 del libro. This book right here, the one we're using for the class, Arriba, edition number 7. If you go to those pages, you will have this information and the conjugation of these stem changing verbs. When you look at stem-changing verbs, you have to know one important thing. Endings are exactly the same as the endings for ar, and ir verbs. So don't worry about the endings. The endings are not going to be different. This is why I said at the beginning of the class that it was very important for you to learn the endings of verbs ending in ar, ir. For stem-changing verbs, the endings are going to be exactly the same as those of verbs ending in ar, ir. The only thing that happens is that the vowel in the stem of the verb changes in all forms except for the nosotros form. And what is the stem of the verb? Well, the stem of the verb is the part of the verb that we are left with when we take out the infinitive endings ar, ir. So, for example, for the verb cantar, which means to sing, we take out ar, and cant would be the stem. Now, for stem-changing verbs, there is a change in the stem, in the vowel that appears in the stem, in all forms of the verb except for nosotros. We're going to look at them. There's 3 possible changes. We're going to look at them one by one, and I think you will understand this a lot more easily. So let's look first of all at the verbs that you can see right here that change an E for an IE. E cambia a IE. Por ejemplo, el verbo querer. Querer significa to want. Querer has an E in the stem. Querer. But it changes to IE when you conjugate the verb, as you can see there, in all forms except for nosotros. The nosotros form keeps the E. So let's read this verb. Yo quiero. Tú quieres. Él, ella o usted quiere. Nosotros o nosotras queremos. Ellos, ellas o ustedes quieren. I will repeat each form and then you can repeat after me. Por favor, repitan conmigo las formas del verbo querer. Quiero, quieres, quiere, queremos, quieren. As you can see, there's a change to IE in all forms except for nosotros. If you go to the book on page 114, you will see other verbs that work like this one. For example, the verbs empezar, which means to begin, entender, to understand, pensar, to think, perder, to lose, preferir, to prefer. All of these verbs change an E to an IE. I'll repeat the verbs so you can repeat them after me. Por favor, repitan los verbos conmigo. Empezar, entender, pensar, perder, preferir. As I say, they are on page 114 of the 7th edition of Arriba. That's the first kind of change. I goes to IE. E cambia en IE. Now the second form of change, second kind of change that you can find is the one in the middle there. O or U changes to UE. O, U cambia en UE. Por ejemplo, el verbo volver. Volver significa to return. You see the forms right there, and in all cases, except for nosotros, which is right there at the bottom, there is a change to UE, but in nosotros, we don't have that change. Note again that the endings are the endings that you normally have for a verb ending in ER. So nothing new with the endings. The only new thing is the stem change. So here we go. I'm going to read this verb and I'll leave some time for you to repeat it. Por favor, repitan conmigo el verbo volver. Vuelvo, vuelves, vuelve, volvemos, vuelven. I'll do it one more time. Una vez más. Vuelvo, vuelves, vuelve, volvemos, vuelven. As you can see, in every case, except for nosotros, there is a change from O, in this case, volver, to UE. Vuelvo, vuelves, and so on. Not a change in the nosotros form. Volvemos. You keep the O of the infinitive. If you look at the bottom of the page in your book, page 114, you will find other verbs that work like this. Por ejemplo, almorzar, which means to have lunch, costar, to cost, dormir, to sleep, encontrar, to find, jugar, to play, poder, to be able to, recordar, to remember, soñar, to dream. Por favor, repitan los verbos conmigo. Almorzar, costar, dormir, encontrar, jugar, poder, recordar, soñar. All of these verbs, as volver, have changes from O or U to UE, except in the case of the form for nosotros. That's the second kind of change, from O or U to UE. Now there is a third kind of change, which I will show you now. And the change is right here, on this side. From E, we can go to I. E cambia en I. Por ejemplo, el verbo pedir. Pedir significa to ask for something, o también to order something at a restaurant. And as you can see there, in every form except for nosotros, the verb pedir goes from E to I. I'm going to read these forms and I'll give you a chance to repeat after me. Por favor, repitan conmigo las formas del verbo pedir. Pido, pides, pide, pedimos, piden. Otra vez. Pido, pides, pide, pedimos, piden. As you can see, in all cases, the E turns to I, except for the form of nosotros. If you look at your book on page 115, you'll find two other verbs that work like this. Repetir, to repeat. Servir, to serve. Repetir, servir. Those are the three types of changes. Change number one, E goes to IE. Change number two, O or U goes to UE. And change number three, E goes to I. Whenever you find any of these verbs, you have to be careful to remember to make the change in each form except for the form of nosotros. And remember, as I have said many times already, the endings are exactly the same endings of ar, and ir verbs. So now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and you can try to answer them. I will give you a possible answer after I leave some time for you to respond. Pregunta número 1. ¿Qué quieres comer? ¿Qué quieres comer? Y la respuesta puede ser, quiero comer unos tacos. Quiero comer unos tacos. Pregunta número 2. ¿Dónde almuerzas? ¿Dónde almuerzas? Y la respuesta puede ser, almuerzo en un restaurante. Almuerzo en un restaurante. Pregunta número 3. ¿Qué pides en un restaurante mexicano? ¿Qué pides en un restaurante mexicano? Y la respuesta puede ser, pido unos burritos. Pido unos burritos. Try to answer those questions in your own different ways. And also, if you go to your book, on pages 115 and 116, you will find exercise 4-6. Try to do that exercise. Exercise 4-6 on pages 115 and 116. And also on page 117, you have exercise 4-8. Try to do that exercise. Exercise 4-8 on page 117 of the book we're using for the class. Arriba, 7th edition. Muchas gracias por la atención. Soy el profesor Antón García Fernández.